One company owns more wealth than Apple, Microsoft, and Google combined. How? Welcome to Macro Scale, the truth behind the money. Beneath the scorching Arabian desert lies the single greatest concentration of oil ever discovered by human civilization. In 1938, American geologists drilling for Standard Oil of California struck something that would permanently alter the global balance of power. The Dammam No. 7 well erupted with crude oil at a scale that made every previous discovery look insignificant. Saudi Arabia was sitting on roughly 17% of the world's proven oil reserves, more than any other nation on Earth. The company born from that moment, the Arabian American Oil Company, later renamed Saudi Aramco, would grow into something the world had never seen before. A single corporate entity controlling an ocean of liquid wealth so vast, it would eventually be valued at over $2 trillion. For decades, Saudi Arabia watched foreign corporations extract its greatest natural resource while keeping the majority of profits. By the 1970s, Arab nationalism was surging across the Middle East, and the Saudi royal family was done watching Americans export their wealth. In 1973, OPEC's oil embargo sent shockwaves through the global economy. Oil prices quadrupled almost overnight. Western nations faced fuel shortages, long gas lines, and economic panic. Saudi Arabia saw its leverage with perfect clarity. Between 1973 and 1980, the Saudi government systematically nationalized Aramco, buying out the American shareholders stake by stake until in 1980, it owned 100% of the company. This was not a hostile takeover in the Wall Street sense. It was a sovereign nation reclaiming dominion over its own earth. The Saudis kept the American engineers, the infrastructure, the know-how, and took everything else. Aramco was now an instrument of state power. What makes Saudi Aramco uniquely extraordinary is not just its size, it is its efficiency. For most oil companies, finding and extracting a barrel of crude oil costs between $15 and $35. For Aramco, that number sits below $3 per barrel. In a world where oil trades between $60 and $100, Aramco operates with a profit margin that no competitor on Earth can match. By the 2010s, Aramco was generating more profit annually than Apple, ExxonMobil, and Shell combined. It produced roughly 10% of the entire world's oil supply from a single company. Internally, it functioned less like a corporation and more like a nation-state. It runs its own hospitals, universities, airports, and housing complexes. Its workforce of over 70,000 employees lives in a parallel world of company-provided infrastructure. The Saudi government depends on Aramco for nearly 70% of its national revenue. Without Aramco, the kingdom as we know it does not exist. In 2016, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman announced the unthinkable. Saudi Aramco would go public. The world's most secretive and profitable company would sell shares to outside investors. The stated goal was to raise capital to diversify the Saudi economy away from oil dependency under a grand plan called Vision 2030. Investment banks from New York to London scrambled to win the deal. Bankers estimated the company's value at anywhere between $1 and $2 trillion. Numbers so large they had no real precedent. In December 2019, after years of delays, political complications, including the assassination of journalist Jamal Khashoggi, casting a shadow over Saudi Arabia's global reputation, Aramco listed on the Saudi Stock Exchange, the Tadawul. It raised $25.6 billion in its IPO, the largest initial public offering in history, surpassing Alibaba's 2014 record. On its second day of trading, Aramco crossed a valuation of $2 trillion, becoming the first company in human history to reach that milestone. In that moment, it was worth more than every major American tech giant except Apple. Saudi Aramco reached its peak market valuation of approximately $2.4 trillion in 2022, briefly dethroning Apple as the most valuable company on earth. It was a symbolic moment. The old economy of black crude momentarily overshadowing the digital age. The catalyst was Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which sent oil prices surging past $120 per barrel and reminded the world how deeply dependent it still was on fossil fuels. But the empire faces unprecedented pressures. The global energy transition is accelerating. Electric vehicle adoption, renewable energy investment, and international climate commitments are all aimed directly at the heart of Aramco's business model. Aramco has responded by investing in carbon capture, hydrogen, and downstream chemicals, attempting to transform itself before the world transforms around it. Yet the numbers remain staggering. In 2023, Aramco reported a net profit of $121 billion. It continues to pay out more in dividends than most countries earn in GDP. The story of Saudi Aramco is the story of how a hole in the desert became the financial engine of a civilization, and how that engine now faces its most uncertain future. Follow Macro Scale for more stories the financial world doesn't want simplified. See you next time.